In lesson 31, let's look at multiplying decimals. The thing we need to remember about multiplying decimals, I've written as a hint for you, is you don't have to line up decimal places. All you do when you have your answer is add the decimal places together. I'll show you what I mean with example number 1. We have the number 0.23, and we're going to multiply it times the number 9. Now, 9 is a whole number, no decimal places, but we don't have to worry about that. Once we finish our multiplication, 9 times 3 is 27, carry my 2, 9 times 2, 18, plus 2 is 20. We're going to place the decimal by counting the number of decimal places in both of the numbers that we multiplied. Well, in 0.23 we have 2 decimal places. In 9 we have none. So we need 2 decimal places total. I start from right here at the whole number spot, and I say I need 2 decimal places. So my answer is 2.07. Example 2, 1.5 times 0.5. Well, already you should be able to tell me how many decimal places I'm going to have in my answer. I have 1 in this one. I have 1 in this number. I add them together. I'm going to need 2 decimal places in my answer. Let's do the multiplication. 5 times 5 is 25. Carry the 2. 5 times 1. 7 plus 2 is 75. I need 2 decimal places. I have to place my decimal here. The answer is 0.75. Example 3. I have a 0.47 times negative 9.02. Well, I'm going to multiply a positive number times a negative number. I ought to make up my mind already. That answer is going to be negative, so I'll write it down just so I don't forget. I'm going to write the number with the greatest number of digits first. So that's the negative 9.02. Makes multiplication easier. It's going to be multiplied times 4.7. Since 4.7 only has 2 digits, this will make it easier. How many decimal places? Well, there's 2 in the first number. There's 1 in this one. I will need 3 in my answer. Let's multiply. 7 times 2 is 14. Carry your 1. And there was a 0 there, so I can just lay it down. 7 times 9 is 63. Let's place a 0 so that we can multiply by the 4, which is in the tens place. 4 times 2 is 8. 4 times 0 is 0. 4 times 9 is 36. Very careful to line these places up because I'm going to have to add now. 4 plus 0, 8 plus 1, 3 plus 0, 6 plus 6. Carry my 1. All I have to do is say how many decimal places in my answer. 1, 2, 3. My decimal place goes between the 2. Decimal point goes between the 2 and 3. And don't forget, this is a negative answer, right? That's why we put it down and circled it. The negative times a positive gives us a negative. Example 4. Once again, we're going to write the one with the most digits first. And this has a lot of zeros, so we're going to have to be careful. 2.0005 times 5.5. How many decimal places in my answer? Well, this one has 4. And this number has 1. When I add those together, I'm going to need 5 decimal places in my answer. Let's multiply. 5 times 5 gives me 5. Carry my 2, 25. And then I am going to multiply these other 2 digits and multiply 5 times 2, which is a 10. You have to be really careful when you're getting this, doing this because of all the zeros. Let's put a 0 down as a placeholder and multiply by this 5 that's in the tens place. 5 times 5, 25. Carry my 2. 5 times 0 plus 2 is 2. 5 times another 0. 5 times another 0. And 5 times 2 gives me 10. Now, I want to add 5, 7, 2, 0, 0, 1, 1, and the number of decimal places I need in my answer, 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. The answer, 11.00275. We do use decimals quite a bit when we're doing scientific calculations or when we're doing circumference of a circle is a good example, because circumference, which you'll remember, is the outside measurement of the circle, right? Has a formula. The circumference of a circle is equal to pi times the diameter of the circle. And you should note that pi is always listed as approximately 3.14. So when you do calculations with pi, you're going to use the decimal 3.14. Radius is another term when we're dealing with circumference of a circle that you need to be familiar with. It's halfway across the circle. Halfway across is called the radius, and that's through the middle of the circle. So if I draw a circle, and I show you the center of it, and I say from that center to any edge, that's called the radius. The diameter is all the way across the circle, straight through the middle. So if I draw a circle again, and I find the center, and I draw a line straight through the center all the way across, that's the diameter. Those terms you need to be familiar with. Now, sometimes when they tell you to get the circumference of a circle, they're going to give you the radius, and sometimes they're going to give you the diameter. You need the diameter, but if they give you the radius, you can figure it out. Look at our circles. The radius, the diameter, is really just equal to 2 radiuses. So I can take, or radii, I can take the radius and multiply it times 2, and I'll have the diameter. Example number 5 has to use that. We have a radius of 5 centimeters. My diameter for this circle would then be 10 centimeters. So I'm going to write that down because I know they want circumference, which is equal to pi times diameter. Circumference would then be 3.14 times the diameter of 10. Now, anytime I multiply times a 10, or any product of 10, I'm going to really move the decimal point one place to the right. That's all I have to do. So circumference would equal 31.4. Now, you can do the long multiplication if you want to, but we'll show you this in the next section, so we'll get used to multiplying by multiples of 10. And all you have to do is really move the decimal point, and you move it to the right. Let's look at example 6. This time they did give me the diameter. Once again, my circumference is equal to pi times the diameter. It's a good idea to always write a formula down when you're using one. Circumference is equal to 3.14 times the diameter of 22. Now I'm going to need to multiply here 3.14 times 22. How many decimal points in my answer? Well, there's 2 here. None in this one. I'll have to have 2 in my answer. 2 times 4 is 8. 2 times 1 is 2. 2 times 3 is 6. Let's put a 0 down and do that whole thing again. Of course, I get the same answers when I multiply times the same number, and then I have to add together to get 69.08. 2 decimal places, 69.08. And we always have to list the units when we're doing something like circumference. It's linear units. This would be inches.